You gotta hand it to Rand. When I met him, he was a very happy, forward-thinking person, among the most I knew. And things in Pittsburgh sucked at the time, and I met him at a bar named Chief's, where beer was very cheap. Rand is his name. He drank a beer glass with a little ice, 4 shots of vodka, small amount of ginger ale. That was what he drank all day, every day, 4 shots per drink. He bought me a couple once, and I was staggering out of there. We always talked when I ran him. He was very generous. He had very little money. He was encumbered. I believe he worked and his wages were attached at the time. He owed money bad all over. He had AIDS. He told me he had full-blown AIDS, and he was drinking himself to death. He told me quite an interesting backstory. It was only several times I'd go to Chief's bar. He sat at the end. A lot of times it's the only place to sit, but he and I were on very nice terms. Very good speaking terms. He was very outgoing. He was very charismatic. He was a good guy. Rand Ackerman was his name. He had AIDS. He was gay. I'm heterosexual. I was pleased to talk to the guy. I was lucky to talk to the guy. I was lucky to be meeting people at the time. Beer was like 35 cents or 50 cents a glass at the time. I think that would be 1991. And beer, it's believable. It sounds nutty, but I think... No, there was draft beer for probably 50. If it was 75, I can't remember. It was inexpensive. Maybe it was beer night or something. It was 35 cents. But it was less than $1 for a draft. Whatever, small one anyway. Just cheap beer. When we're driving at cheap drinks. No, it was a cheap dive bar, popular, punk. Anyhow, Rand was an older guy in his 40s. Not that old either. In his 40s, full-blown AIDS. He proudly told me he had AIDS and planned to drink himself to death. He planned to die of alcohol. He wanted to die of alcoholism before he died from AIDS. And he was treating it. I believe it was 1991. I don't recall what the treatment was for AIDS at that time. But he wasn't stupid. He was well into his case of AIDS. His backstory it's amazing. He told me what a business group was. He had formed a business group with a group of gay men, proud gay men. He was the leader. He formed a real estate collective. They've invested. This was not a Ponzi scheme. This was the real thing. He and the group bought real estate, traded it, rented it, sold it, managed it. In the Shady Side area, this would have started. He was in his 40s. If this could have gone back to the 1970s, he was in his 40s in 1991. So this could have gone back to the 1970s. The economy stunk at the time, and they began a real estate collective in Shady Side when it was opportune. Shady Side wasn't always the best neighborhood in town, or it pretty nearly was anyway, but it became a popular hippie neighborhood. It wasn't a bad neighborhood at any time. It was never a slum. It was, in many ways, it was a beautiful neighborhood. I think it was always a beautiful neighborhood, truthfully. But first, at one point, it was popular with hippies. Then it became valuable. Property value goes sharply. Rand and his people bought real estate before, as they were wise. These were some wise gay men. They invested in real estate when it was opportune, and they did very well as real estate investors, managers, renters, friends of one another. He explained how a real estate collective, the proceeds enabled those men to travel and party. Randy loved to drink. He liked to fuck. He was into sex. And he had full-blown AIDS, and he was heterosexual. No, he was gay. No, he was exclusively gay. I'm exclusively hetero. He had AIDS. He liked to fuck. His name was Buck, and he liked to fuck. No, this is a very sad story and not that funny. They traveled all over the world partying, meeting people. They had a wonderful life for many, many years. The money from their investments paid for all this travel, all the partying, the socializing, the clothing, the style. They could buy beautiful. These men loved beautiful clothing, and they could afford it because the real estate collective was lucrative. And anyway, his story. We're coming to the end of the Rand story. Rand was the last of that group surviving. The entire real estate collective that Randy had formed, they all contracted AIDS. All Randy's resources burned up treating AIDS. They were a collective. They remained together as they died. They all had AIDS together in time, for over a period of years. See, this is heinous. Over a period of years, this collective began contracting AIDS in the same way any gay community would have contracted the same illness. On a timeline, they're contracting the illness and passing it. Anyhow, basically they all died of AIDS, Rand included. Rand was the last of them. God, he had vitality. He drank 4 shots of vodka per drink, and he drank those fucking things all day. And I swear to God, he had full-blown AIDS, and he's gay. I'm skinny. I may be a wimp, but I'm heterosexual, healthy. 140 pounds and 2 of those goddamn drinks. I could barely walk straight. Rand was like happy. Now, he died of AIDS, I believe. I think he lost the battle. I think he went into the hospital and passed. When he did, I wasn't there when it happened, but I think he passed of advanced AIDS disease. And he had intended to drink himself to death before that had happened. The entire business group died of AIDS. Anyway, it was like an American story of success and tragedy. Imagine this very fucking story and others. 1 billion stories. America started. It went through its shit, 2 world wars, whatever. It's up till now. Trump's president right now. He's really what a star player that Trump is. Anyhow, Donald Trump, our president, right? It's 2025 right now. And Donald Trump is making everybody's life more like the last months of Randy's. It's like Rand Ackerman's last 4 months having Trump for president. Anyway, that's enough. Thanks for listening.